Tonight, this chamber speaks with one voice to the people we represent. It is you, our citizens, who make the state of our union strong. And here are the results of your efforts.
The Bob Brandt Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
Good evening to you, my fellow Americans. Thank you so much for tuning into the big one, News Radio WTAM 11. And then, of course, as he gave without question, or had without question, the most emotional moment of the evening when he introduced a veteran who had served in Afghanistan, and I think he said it was his 10th, I think it was, on his 10th deployment, that he spoke of Corey. And that, by the way, that standing ovation that he got was, I think, the longest and loudest and most heartfelt and sincere that I have seen a president. Well, he didn't even get it, but he got it for Corey, but that I've seen at a State of the Union address maybe ever. And that, you got to go back a while. I mean, of course, every president has moments, but that was huge. That was absolutely huge, the ovation that Corey Remsburg, the Army Ranger, who on his 10th deployment to Afghanistan was the victim of a roadside bomb and fought for his life, and now is continuing to try to struggle to get back to serving his country again. Just an amazing, amazing story that the president told about Corey, and he was there. And Sergeant First Class Corey Remsburg, there he is. He got an ovation unlike anything I've seen. Corey did. So kudos to the president for putting him up there and talking about what we need to do for veterans like Corey and the injured like Corey. It is interesting to note, however, as another tweet did, that the president, and this is not a matter of opinion, this is a matter of record, you just have to go and look for it. It's not hard to find. But the President of the United States, while celebrating someone like Corey Remsburg, which is certainly most deserving to celebrate, also did, with the stroke of his pen, slashed health care benefits for active duty and retired U.S. military. Slashed health care benefits for the same veterans that he promised to support. So these are things that certainly, jumped out at you from the State of the Union address in what was otherwise a pretty weak address. I mean, when I say weak, I don't mean weak that the president was weak. He was forceful. He tried to deliver, I thought. He tried to deliver his remarks tonight with passion and with strength and conviction. But when you take the method of delivery away and focus only on the content of the delivery, there just wasn't a lot of meat there. It was the same old standby arguments about how to drive job creation in this country that isn't being driven, about how to get people more money, how to get more opportunities for businesses, how to cover people with health care. Let's find a way to get immigration reform done. Let's find a way to get climate change done, and yada, yada, yada. Or not climate change, but climate change legislation done. So it was not weak in terms of his delivery. He tried to be strong, but he was just playing from a position of weakness. So that's kind of my overall takeaway or analysis of what we heard tonight. I want to hear from you. That's what this is about. I want to find out how you feel about the President's State of the Union address. What was a high point for you? What was a low point for you? What did you agree with in terms of the agenda going forward into 2014 and beyond? What did you disagree with the most? And how successful do you think he can be given his status as, a lame duck president? He's got 3 years. Now, normally, lame duck status doesn't really set in until after the midterm elections in a second term. Normally, Charles Krauthammer, I was listening to Krauthammer before the speech tonight. Charles Krauthammer pointed out, usually the wind is at your sails right after your second election, after your re-election into your second term. I mean, that's when you have the wind behind you, boy, and you can get some things done in that first year. The second year, a little bit less so. The third year after the midterm elections, because you're probably going to lose seats, it's a little bit harder, and the fourth year is just kind of warming up the seat for your successor. And I agree with that assessment. And if the wind was behind him and his at his sails for the first year, and this was the year that he was supposed to get something big time done, then you can say that this past year for our union and for his agenda was a complete and utter failure. Because what was it highlighted by? It was highlighted by an extraordinarily botched rollout of the health care law. It was highlighted by a whole hell of a lot of inquiries into Benghazi, the IRS scandal, the NSA spying scandal. I mean, it was one mess after another for the fifth year of the president's term, or his two terms, the fifth year of his presidency. And I don't know what that portends for 2014. But I do know that it is the second year of his second term, and it is really his last opportunity to get anything serious done. And maybe that's why he threatened with the pen and the phone to take executive order. So I want to get your thoughts on it. 216-578-1100 is the phone number. 216-578-1111 will get you in as well. You can text your thoughts on what you heard tonight in the State of the Union address if you did hear it. If not, we'll play some segments of it for you just so that we can respond to it intelligently and you can have an idea of what it is that we are talking about. But text your thoughts to 21095. We will text you back to let you know that we got it. You can also get me on Twitter at France Rants. A lot of tweets already coming there. FRANTZRANTS, France Rants, and on Facebook at The Bob France Show, The Bob France Show. What did you like about what you heard tonight? And I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative, a Democrat, a Republican, a libertarian, a centrist, whatever you are. What did you hear that you liked? What did you hear that you did not like? What were you surprised to learn is truthful, and what do you think is a flat-out lie and that is factually inaccurate that you heard tonight? And how do you think it's going to go from this point forward? Do you think he's going to be able to accomplish the things that he said? I'd particularly like your thoughts on the minimum wage aspect too. He hit that pretty hard, and even though it's a standby, it's an evergreen presidential topic to talk about. I want to give more money to more Americans and just get everybody to go yay, because that's a populist standpoint. Never mind the ramifications of such a move, what it does to business owners. What it can do to business owners, what it does to unemployment as more people are let go so that the people who are left behind get to make more money without changing the overhead costs for the employer. Just saying, hey, I want more people to have more money, that's a populist appeal, and he threw that one out there tonight. But I was particularly interested in that. That to me is just a true example of a failure of leadership. To not offer suggestions, to not talk about compromise, to not talk about working through some of the issues on that legislation that the Senate passed. Just saying, get it done. That's not leading. Get it done is not leading. It's a slogan. It's a bumper sticker. Hell, it was a slogan for a professional wrestler. No, I'm sorry. I almost went with Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's actually a slogan for a comedian. It's Larry the Cable Guy. The president just stood up there and said, get her done. That's a Larry the Cable Guy routine. That's not very helpful at all. So, those are just my thoughts, my opening thoughts on what the president had to say tonight. I want yours. And all thoughts are welcome. Be they conservative, liberal, or somewhere in between. What did you like? What did you not like? How do you feel about the speech that you heard from the president tonight? It's your chance to talk to us and get it off your chest. I've been watching and reading the online comments. Now let's get those online comments on the air as well. On the big one, The Bob France Show, News Radio WTAM 1100.
The Bob France Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
State of the Union tonight. You heard it on WTAM.com or by way of iHeartRadio. As we had the Cavaliers for you on the big one, WTAM 1100. In either case, I don't think you were probably very pleased with what you heard. Welcome to the Bob France Show. We are going to take you until midnight tonight. Let's get your reactions to the State of the Union address. If you want to talk about what the president had to say about immigration, the health care law, equal pay for equal work, a lot of these just kind of old standby issues that, again, he really broke no new ground tonight, which I thought was very, very interesting. Very little new ground was discussed tonight. This is more a matter of, hey, everything must be going swimmingly. Let's just keep on doing what we've been doing. That seemed to be the kind of theme of the speech tonight. So let's find out how you reacted to it. Let's go to the phones. We'll get up with, go out to the burbs and talk to Moonbeam on WTAM 1100 to start. Hey, Moonbeam, how are you?
Oh, good. I'm going to be way out there, but Obama doesn't care about our military because he had not mentioned, if he did, he would have mentioned the sailors of the USS Ronald Reagan that got dusted by the deadly radiation plume from Fukushima. When the sailors went over to help the Japanese people, these sailors got tumors and cancers. There's a cover-up. Hillary Clinton raised the allowable amount of radiation in our food. The Pacific Ocean is dying, and he is not doing anything in covering it up. I called you before. You need to have a show about Fukushima and what's going on over there. There's a triple China syndrome meltdown, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah, well, just to point out what you're talking about here, and I'm well aware of this. It's a worldwide cover-up. It's not just the United States or Barack Obama cover-up. It is a worldwide cover-up in terms of what that radiation is doing to the Pacific Ocean, to food supplies from the Pacific, and it's going to affect all of us in the very near future. I don't know what can be done, and I don't think they know.
Yeah, they do. It's affecting us right now. The Cleveland, Ohio snow out there right now is radioactive. Look it up on YouTube. You have to have a show and have updates daily, and those sailors should be at the White House lawn, and maybe it's going to get in the media before this world is cashed out in cancer. But I appreciate it, and hopefully you could continue the fight.
Okay, I appreciate your phone call. Now, what he's talking about is obviously was not mentioned in the State of the Union tonight, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. But he's right. It is something that I am going to do another show on, a full show on. And have some people, but if you don't understand the significance yet, and I've had to have a few people open my eyes, and I've talked to a number of different people who have done some research about this, but the effect that the Fukushima reactor meltdown that happened a couple of years ago with the massive earthquake in the ocean, off the islands of Japan. It's more massive, more broad, more vast, more wide scale than you can even possibly comprehend. And it is a worldwide cover-up in the fact that there are so many international governments and international bodies. Let me rephrase: national governments and international bodies that are trying to stop a worldwide panic from happening. Because, quite frankly, I don't think they have a handle on what to do about it. Some of the most incredible minds in the world are trying to figure out what to do to stop the spread of the radioactive materials that are just pouring through the ocean and affecting our food supply and affecting so much more. So it's a really, really serious issue, one that is not getting a ton of national attention because I think it's, you know what it is? To me, and it's just an opinion, and I'll get right back to your phone calls, it's in some ways reminiscent of old crappy alien movies where they know that the Earth is coming to an end, that aliens exist, and they're prepared to strike Earth, or meteor movies or asteroid movies. And they got to keep the American people and keep the world population ignorant of it, or else they'll panic. And everybody will start rioting and looting and trying to gather supplies and build bomb shelters and this and that and the other sort of thing. And they don't want people flipping and freaking out. In a weird way, those kind of cheesy disaster movies, of which I'm a fan, by the way, where they try to keep everybody dumb and stupid and in the dark, that's what's happening with Fukushima. It's a worldwide cover-up, but you can't cover it up, completely in today's alternate media and internet and so on and so forth. But that is something we will address in many future shows, I'm certain. Thank you for the call. Back to the State of the Union.
Okay, because that speech. And again, and I applaud you, by the way, I heard you just now talking about Fukushima. Did you hear any commentary from our military after the speech?
No.
But the thing that you got to understand, we live by the lies we're being told, but yet they're letting this guy get away with basically the destruction of America. And I applaud you to do more commentary on this program. And that Fukushima, you're absolutely right, not even no sci-fi movie. I'm on tilt, my friend. I'm on tilt, and I pray for this country.
All right, try to keep your balance, my friend. Thank you, Stormer Norman. I appreciate it. Try to stay on balance. Fukushima we will talk more about. But, did you notice how lacking in specifics